Good Thursday afternoon. Jerry Miller, welcome to the I Love CVille show. It's good to be with you. Thank you kindly for joining us. We're live in Charlottesville, the Commonwealth, the country, and the world on the I Love CVille network. We have a phenomenal program lined up for you. Lloyd Snook, Charlottesville City Councilor, joins us in about 18 minutes to talk policy, talk strategy, to talk inside X's and O's from City Hall, past and present. It's a very moving landscape out there, certainly from a city councilor standpoint. I have a lot of respect for Lloyd. He's going to join us 18 minutes on the program. James King, King Family Vineyards. His family owns an institution not only in the vineyard winery space, but just a well-loved and beloved brand and name and experience and kind of lifestyle in Charlottesville and Central Virginia and King family. We're excited to welcome James to the show, his second rodeo on the I Love CVille show. James King at about 1:08 p.m. We'll also welcome Landon Saul to the program. Landon Saul, the co-owner chef at Vivace Restaurant, his restaurant in Ivy, opening tomorrow with 4 strategic patios. He will join us on the show. We are live on 12 different Facebook pages. The I Love CVille show. We then take each show and we syndicate it for 2 weeks across the I Love CVille network, which is roughly a network that, depending on the given day, reaches anywhere from 200 to 250,000 people. So we're excited about the program. I'm going to start today's show and the discussion with this. We're going to talk reopening on today's program. I think before we get into the reopening discussion, we can all agree that we want what is best for Charlottesville and people to stay healthy and to stay safe, and for us to, together as a community, move past COVID-19 or manage it as best as we can till we find a vaccine. We all want that. I think we can safely say, before we start the discussion, we all want that. Okay? We're in agreement there. Next thing you've seen as we've head into the reopening, and I hope it doesn't go this way, is I would like everyone that's watching the show to either say, I understand you're reopening tomorrow, and I will either support you or not support you. But if I don't support you, that doesn't mean I'm going to throw shade on you. If I don't support you, that means I may stay home and I will still do curbside takeout and delivery. I'll still support you that way, but I'm not going to support you reopening. And that's okay. If folks feel that way and say, I don't want to go out, there's 70 restaurants, vineyards, and wineries. The latest was the Biltmore on the UVA corner, which made the announcement about 14 minutes ago. The Biltmore on the UVA corner is opening tomorrow. Put it up on screen. Thank you, Judah Wickhauer. We'll put the screenshot from their Facebook page on screen. This is the most challenging of any of the openings that have happened because it's on the UVA corner and it involves UVA students that don't always follow the closest of details. So the Biltmore opening on the UVA corner. I want to get back to my overall premise. We all want what's best for the community and we're in agreement. But I don't want to see people throw shade on the businesses that are opening. But what I'm seeing 2 groups materializing here on social media. And the first group that's reopening, and these are the businesses that are reopening, and I don't fault anyone for opening, and I don't fault anyone for not opening. Everyone has their own reasons. It's all a unique circumstance. The first group that I see reopening in the business community has large patios and a lot of land. That is a huge advantage right now. Large patios and a lot of land. The folks that have large patios and a lot of land are feeling somewhat encouraged and are choosing to reopen. You see that with the vineyards like King Family, with Glass House. You see that with Keswick. You see that with Trump. You see the vineyards and wineries opening because they have the space and the land to accommodate. That's one group. The folks with the large patios and the land. An alternative group I see materializing is a group with its respective businesses that does not have the infrastructure of patio space or land space. And a lot of the folks that are in this group that don't have patio space or the option for land for their breweries, their vineyards and wineries and restaurants are choosing not to open. That's why you're seeing a lot of the Charlottesville downtown mall not opening now. The largest patios on the Charlottesville downtown mall, what is it? Is it Miller's? Is it Sal's Cafe Italia? Those are probably the two largest ones on the downtown mall. Miller's or Sal's Cafe Italia, I would bet. At best, if these two patios open on the downtown mall, you would have maybe a handful of tables that could operate under Phase 1 guidelines. So if you're on the downtown mall, or if you're in Midtown, or if you're on the corner except for the Biltmore, or if you're in Barracks Road Shopping Center, or Stonefield, or in Route 29, you are seeing that your otherwise Class A real estate, where you're paying the premium dollars for rent because it has density and walk-by traffic and it's popular, those spaces are in Phase 1 at least, temporarily not very beneficial right now. The spaces in Phase 1 that are beneficial are the businesses that are operating in not Class A rent districts, but on large pieces of land outside of the urban ring in the city of Charlottesville, the vineyards and the wineries. You can even make a case for Class B and C type of real estate that's off the beaten path a little bit in a fabulous restaurant in Vivace. It has a great location, but I think we're all in agreement the location there versus Barracks is very different. Okay? So in this weird COVID-19 landscape, the Class A properties in this bizarro world are a hindrance for reopening. Because you can't run a business on the downtown mall with 4 tables on your patio and also have the concern of people walking by the tables on the patio and whether or not they're staying within 6 feet apart. It's an interesting dynamic. The restaurants that I know that are opening, and the most challenging opening of any of the restaurants, breweries, and wineries, of any of those 3, restaurants, breweries, and wineries, the most challenging I would think to open it's as a restaurant. And the ones that are opening so far, the Shebeen, from a soft opening standpoint, Vivace restaurant, and we'll talk with Landon, ownership in the 1 o'clock hour, Ace Biscuit and Barbecue, Guadalajara on JPA, the Lazy Parrot on Pantops, the Clifton in Keswick, Restoration in Crozet. Each of these is opening in some capacity. And I would encourage you to go to their Facebook page or their website to get those details. So here's the intriguing aspect here, okay? The downtown mall is Class A real estate in the heartbeat of the city. But because the downtown mall has such small patio space, and because it has pedestrians walking by those patios, it makes the dining district inefficient to reopen. So that dining district, much like Barracks, Midtown, much like Stonefield and Route 29, must stay in a delivery, takeout, curbside manner. The ones a little on the outskirts can be a little bit more creative and try to open tomorrow in Phase 1 under different guidelines. Very intriguing dynamic. So I want to talk about the economics of this, and then I'm going to open it up for discussion. And if you have any comments, I'm happy to relay them on air. Dr. Rachel, I will 100% mention this comment on air. We're live on 12 different Facebook pages. I'm seeing a handful of comments already coming in. Even if you disagree, if you do it in a respectful way, I'll relay your disagreements on air. I don't really care, okay? So I want to get into the economics of this, and then we'll welcome Lloyd Snook to the show, and James King, and Landon Saul. So guys, if the restaurants, vineyards, breweries, and wineries continue to make announcements, what happened? Yesterday, about 36 hours ago, there was 62 or so of them that were open. And a handful of them were messaging me, DM me, texting me, I'm thinking about doing this. Today, we're over 70 with the likes of the Shebeen, the Biltmore, Ace Biscuit and Barbecue, Guadalajara, Clifton, Restoration, Lazy Parrot, and Vivace already have made announcements. So what's going to happen as time continues to go by, this weekend matures, vineyards, wineries, and restaurants open? This is what I think. I think potentially these 70 or some businesses that are opening will take, remove, scrape away some of the takeout business and delivery business and curbside business that's going on right now. We're seeing the takeout, curbside, and delivery model gain strength because it's a necessity. It's an innovation of a necessity, and it's amazing what's happened. But it's paramount that we be realists as business owners and as strategists and as human beings and as just logical people. If 70 new businesses open that have the service of food and drink tomorrow, it's logical to think that these 70 new businesses will erode the market that is takeout, delivery, and curbside, at least some. You must give me that. The second influence that's going to happen is as these restaurants open, and you already have seen the domino effect, the momentum happen in the last 36 hours. As the restaurants, vineyards, and wineries continue to announce their reopening plans, it will influence and encourage other ones to do the same. And it will domino until the ones that don't make the announcement are the ones that were concerned about reopening ever again. Another item of reopening that I think is going to happen is I think it's going to jumpstart local spending in Charlottesville and Albemarle County. We need local spending in Charlottesville and Albemarle County more than ever. We have a city budget that's projecting at best an $8 million shortfall, and it could get worse. The county of Albemarle is in not really a prettier picture either. So having people go to Keswick, and on its way to Keswick, they swing by perhaps the Lazy Parrot for some lunch to get something in the belly. What's wrong with that? People on their way to King Family for some wine, maybe they want to get a little food in the belly at the Shebeen or Ace Biscuit and Barbecue and really make sure the day goes well and they can have one or two more in a safe and healthy fashion with masks on and a social distancing capacity. The other item I think is going to happen is we're going to see a jumpstart of the supply chain. The supply chain in the restaurant world, the supply chain in the brewery world, and the supply chain in the winery and vineyard world is really messed up right now. The uniform companies, the janitorial companies, the food purveyors, they are uncertain of what's happening. And if you can get a demand and a customer base going by Lazy Parrot and getting some lazy rolls, a couple of Cassie Delights, and those teriyaki wings and a couple of dozen, and sit outside in a safe and healthy capacity with your mask on, washing your hands, and you get the Cassie Delight and the lazy roll and those wings in your belly. And then you head to Keswick and you drink some of the best wine on the East Coast and maybe the country. What's wrong with that? It's going to encourage a return of jobs that have been lost and are so sorely needed. The unemployment benefits are going to run out. You ain't going to get the 6 bills much longer. Think past the 600 and look beyond it. We all have the same damn goal. Get out of COVID-19 together, safely and healthy, and do it in a way that it doesn't cause generational destruction of a local economy in a community. It's a balance. It's such a delicate balance. Lloyd Snook in 2 minutes. James King, King Family Vineyard, 1:08 p.m. Landon Saul will join us of Vivace Restaurant about 1:20. Rachel Hallmark Kukta says this. She's a doctor. I respect her. I got to get you on the show. I do not see carryout going down anytime soon. There's a huge portion of the population that is still scared. She says shitless. I'll say shitless. I've been trying not to curse on this program. Thank you, Stephanie. Stephanie, you know who you are. I've been trying not to curse. She said it, not me. There's a huge portion of the population that is still scared bleep about this, or just more cautious about this large reopening that is happening. I will not be going to a restaurant anytime soon and will continue to get carry out more often than typical. Some of us are watching you guys to see what happens to you before we think about venturing out ourselves. Respect. I just gave that the like, Rachel. Respect. Andre Xavier, I believe this weekend will be an opportunity to evaluate people's behavior on social distancing and seating with social distancing. I really hope everyone wears masks out there. Respect. I gave it a like. Kate, you got a comment on here, Kate, somewhere. I can't find it. Other comments coming in. This one's coming in from Vivian. Jerry, you've caught some heat from a few people about you updating us on restaurants on social media. I'm sorry about that. Don't change your content, and thank you for keeping the community in the know. I will be going out in a safe, mask-on capacity to support my favorite restaurant this weekend. Kate Elwood says, the ones downtown are allowed to open in phase 1. It's obviously much harder to do given their outdoor space, but most do have patio fences that would prevent people from just walking up to tables. Well said. Downtown's in a tough spot. Downtown is in a tough spot. I'm going to ask, and Lloyd, I want to give you a heads up about this, and I'm going to reach out to you. Downtown is such a hard spot. And all the restaurant owners that are watching the program, I would very much encourage you to lobby and encourage the City Hall and the people you know in City Hall to consider some kind of outdoor beer garden of some capacity on the downtown mall. The restaurants on the downtown mall, Sal's Cafe Italia and Miller's Downtown, are the 2 largest outdoor patios. And I would bet each of those brands and businesses can maybe accommodate, and please, someone put in the feed here if I'm wrong, can maybe accommodate 6 tables at one time, maybe. You can't do it that way. I'm going to get to these other comments here. There's a lot of comments coming in. We're live on 12 different Facebook pages. I promise you I'm going to get to these comments. Judah, I'm going to reach out to Lloyd Snook. It's ringing right now. Oh, man. I'm looking forward to this. Lloyd Snook is a Charlottesville City Councilor that I have some respect for. And by some respect, I have a lot of respect for this guy. I think Lloyd has done a tremendous job of being accessible and approachable. And he is an excellent I think, educator, and he takes difficult material and he explains it extremely well on his Facebook page. I would encourage anybody that's watching the show to follow Lloyd on Facebook. If I know Lloyd well enough, he would encourage you to follow his campaign or politics page, but I have a feeling people are going to go to his personal page where the action is. He is live, Judah, for Charlottesville, Virginia. I'm going to get out of your way, Councilor, and give you an open-ended show and an open mic. Just give us any kind of update that the community's kind of craving knowledge right now.
Well, thank you, Jerry. First of all, they should go to my personal page because there they get to see pictures of my grandson. So that's another reason. You know, City Council, we really got thrown for a loop back in March. We were all set to approve a budget, and we thought we knew what we were doing, and then all of a sudden things really blew up on us. And so all of our budgeting decisions that we really had spent a fair amount of time trying to be fairly careful and conscientious, and all of a sudden it all went away. I asked the city manager to come up with some suggestions as to how we would deal with a $5 million shortfall, because I thought that was the bare minimum that we were going to be looking at. And we've got a budget now that we will be having a public hearing on Monday. And that budget will have not only a $5 million reduction from what it would have been before, but also a provision that basically we're not going to spend about $8 million that we had been expecting to spend, expecting to put primarily into a capital account. And we're going to hold that on the assumption, and frankly, I would call it an assumption because I think it's pretty clear that I don't believe, frankly, I don't believe the university is going to reopen physically in August. I hope that is wrong, but all of the information we're getting at this point, I would have to say that's not likely. Consider this. Today, we reported the highest number of new COVID cases as we've had all spring.
And what territory is that? Is that Thomas Jefferson footprint?
Statewide. And so we've got to look at that and think about what the decision makers at UVA are likely to be thinking. And one of the things they're likely to be thinking is, how many parents in, say, Northern Virginia are going to feel comfortable about sending their kids to Charlottesville to live and study in Charlottesville in August? And I suspect the answer is not very many. Or to look at it from a slightly different perspective, how many parents from Southwest Virginia, where there is very little COVID at this point, are going to want to send their kids to college to mingle with kids from Northern Virginia where COVID is a real problem.
Right, because if you're in Fairfax, you might want to send them to Charlottesville in August.
That's right. But if you're almost any place else in the state, sending them to mix and mingle with Fairfax kids is going to seem like it's a little risky. So I think that if I'm a betting man at this point, I'm not really, but I try to look at where I think the odds are taking us. I would say that UVA makes some sort of a decision, and it's possible, I suppose, they could say, well, we're not going to reopen in August, but let's shoot for October. Well, if you do that, you recognize that for Charlottesville, that means we've put off the Tom Tom Festival to September. We've put off the Festival of the Book. We've got the Film Festival, I guess, coming in November. How realistic is it that we're going to have all of these activities? Not to mention things like football games, where you would be thinking 50,000 people or more would be getting together in one spot. I don't think that's going to happen this fall. So I think we have to be pretty pessimistic about it all. And so that's why I'm glad we've got this $8 million cushion that's sort of built in. What we are not doing under this budget is we're not going to be funding the parts of the capital budget that are not bondable. And what we mean by that is this. There are some parts of our capital expenditures where we can issue bonds, and we do issue bonds. There are some things by law that are not, although we call them capital expenses, they are not by law something that can be put into a bond issue. And the non-bondable projects, for the most part, are not going to be funded in this particular budget. The bondable project still could be funded. That would include the things that people have been, in some cases, fussing most about: parking garage, the Belmont Bridge, things like that. But the point is that we've spent now another couple of months updating, revising, coming up with ways forward that we think are realistic. And that's going to be the subject of the public hearing on May 18th.
So much I want to ask you, and you're a wealth of knowledge. Dr. Lindsay Neal is watching the show. Your colleague, Elliot Harding, watching the broadcast. Guys, give...
And let me give a shout out to Elliot for something. This is really cool, because yesterday, or 2 days ago, it was announced that Elliot and the ACLU of Virginia worked out an agreement with the Northam administration, with the Department of Corrections, that will, number one, allow for the release of more people who are within a year or so of the end of their time, because obviously one of the things they want to do at DOC is to get their population down. Number one, it cuts the risk. Number two, it cuts the number of people who might possibly be sick if there is a problem. But the second piece, that happens to be personal to one of my cases, is that they added in a provision there that says if you've asked for a pardon from the governor for health reasons in the last year or two, and you've been turned down, you can reapply now. And Elliot, I'm about to send in my application that I was mentioning to him yesterday on an email. About to send it in on behalf of a client who is basically dying of cancer and needs a bone marrow transplant in order to survive, and we're going to try to see if we can get that through. So anyway, quick shout out to Elliot. Thanks for your good work.
Elliot Harding, Joshua Tracy, welcome to the show. So much I want to throw to you, Lloyd. Let's talk with what you just dropped with UVA, which is the 84-ton elephant in the room here. You wouldn't make a comment like that unless your instinct was telling you something that you really felt was actually going to happen, knowing you. At best, it sounds like we can hope for an abbreviated in-person semester in Charlottesville, with fall semester potentially being delayed. It's not official, but just what you are hearing. What are the ramifications budget-wise if that happens from where we are now? I mean, that's got to get much, much worse.
Well, and the ramification, and let me first say, I have no inside knowledge. I have not been talking to anybody at the University of Virginia. I don't know anything other than I can read tea leaves. And the first thing that I'm seeing is I don't think that the governor and I don't think that the president of the university is going to make a decision that flies in the face of the facts as we are seeing them in the Commonwealth. And what we're seeing in the Commonwealth right now, I mean, really the issue is by, let's say, about June 15th, let's assume that the president makes a decision around that time, or the Board of Visitors make a decision about that time. What's it going to look like June 15th? Well, here we are. We're about a month away from that, and we're still racking up record numbers. If we're looking at for a 14-day decline before we start thinking optimistic thoughts, we're not there yet. We're not ready to have that happen yet. Much as I wish that we were. The problem is for the city, we have about $2 million a month in lodging taxes, in meals taxes, in sales taxes on those items. We have about $2 million a month dependent on that kind of bustling tourist trade, on that kind of, the conventions and the festivals and things like that. If we're not getting that, we probably, I mean, the current estimates that the treasurer and the commissioner of finance have put together are sort of projecting perhaps 75% loss out of that. In other words, people are still going out and getting takeout meals and so on, but it's 75% down.
That's
probably.
Startling.
So that's 1.5.
Yeah, that's a startling number. Oh.
Yeah, and so if you think about what's going to happen in another 6 months of none of that, that's probably $9 million right there in revenues that we've lost. We have a budget that is prepared for almost the worst reasonable case. Not to say it couldn't get worse. I don't think it will, but we're prepared for that, and I feel good about being in that situation. But it's still not going to be easy for anybody, and an awful lot of people in Charlottesville are going to continue to have a lot of economic
Here's
hardship. Another
thing, and you're crushing this interview as you always do. You have questions coming in. Ray Cadell should be on your PR team. He loves you. He says you're a first-class human being. Fantastic that you're in the spotlight here. We have questions coming for you. We will get to that shortly. This is the question I have for you. The way Phase 1's guidelines were set up, it did give a huge advantage to Albemarle from a restaurant, vineyard, brewery standpoint because of the land and the patio. So I'm concerned that we're going to see a flock of Charlottesvillians and Central Virginians who otherwise would have spent their disposable income in city limits spending it in the county because of the roughly 70 vineyards, breweries, wineries, and restaurants that are opening. 95% of them are in Albemarle County.
And one of the things that we've tried to talk about is, and there are really two constraints here. The first constraint is that we can't lose sight of is that businesses won't reopen if they don't think people are willing to come. And so to say to a restaurant, yes, you can open, but you're going to be opening under circumstances where people are going to be uncomfortable because they won't be able to maintain their social distance, that's not a prescription for success. So that's one thing we've got to keep in mind, that it's really not just the question of what the city requires or mandates or prohibits, but the question is what can people do and feel comfortable, and we can't control that. But there are a few things we can control, and one of the suggestions that's been floating around is trying to figure out for city restaurants in particular, and probably most city restaurants have no outdoor component. But one thing that has happened in places like Norfolk, for example, and not just as a consequence of the COVID problem, but in general, I was walking around downtown Norfolk a few months ago, and in the parking spaces immediately outside the restaurant, they've got tables set up. And so it's outdoor dining in the parking spaces. And if the city says for a restaurant that's on a street that's got some parking out in front, you can go ahead and you can use those parking spaces for dining. That's another way to get. I mean, it's not a whole lot of.
That's a great idea. That is a great idea. Is the city going to do? Lloyd, I championed that idea yesterday. I made the suggestion. Tip Top. Imagine Tip Top restaurant. It's got the largest parking lot in the area. I mean, you could seat 200. A lot of people. I'm not going to put a number. You can see. Can the city do something like that? And to piggyback that, can the city open the downtown mall to like a beer garden type setting? Stop cut through traffic on 4th Street for cars. Do a beer garden where people can walk around downtown with plastic cups that the city provides. Maybe the city sells to the marketplace a wristband that's red and says, for $2, we will give you $2. The consumer, Jerry, gives the city $2. You give me a wristband and a plastic cup, and that plastic cup can go to restaurants in the downtown mall and can get beverages, and we can walk around downtown. You stimulate the economy. You get the budget going in the right direction with the $2. You get people going back to the restaurants, and the downtown mall needs it. Just an idea. I'm just throwing it out there.
And I have no idea. To answer your question, I have no idea. I mean, I think we need to think about creative ways that we can build that business back up. And one of the issues that we look at everything these days, at least in part, through the question, and Nakia Walker's favorite phrase is to look at things through an equity lens. One of the things about the restaurant business is that the restaurant employees are a very diverse group. They are people who typically don't have health insurance. They typically don't have fringe benefits. They're typically people who are really living on margin right now. And if there's a way we can help them, if there's a way we can boost their economy, so to speak, I'm all in favor of that.
I love it. That's what I love about you. Parking. Just throw parking. You know this was going to come up. People asking about parking. I'll get out of your way on that topic with East Market Street.
Well, I think the East Market Street parking garage that we're going to be building as a part of our deal with Albemarle County to keep the courts downtown. Let me just say, the deal provides that if we don't build that parking garage, there are other things that can happen. And some people have said, well, let's just let those other things happen. Let's, for example, let the county have 90 parking spaces and take over completely the parking lot at the corner of 7th and Market, things like that. I don't want to do that for a whole lot of reasons. Number one, because I think it's vital that the city get back to the point with the county where we are seen again as a reliable negotiating partner. That when we make a deal, even if it means an election takes place in the meantime, we don't just throw away the deal. This is a deal that was worked by then Mayor Nakia Walker and by agreement of the city to go ahead with this deal. And to Mayor Walker's credit, she has stood by that agreement. She hasn't tried to walk back from it. She and Heather Hill and I have been fairly consistent in saying we want to go ahead and get this parking garage built. And let me just say, there are a couple problems that come up. People say, well, we don't really need parking downtown. I would say, of course, I'm prejudiced. I park downtown. I park in the parking garage. I've got employees who park in the parking garage. We do not have a surplus of parking. We have, it has been correctly stated, we have a management problem, but that management problem doesn't get easier by having fewer parking spaces. And we will have fewer parking spaces if we build this parking garage. If we don't build this parking garage, if we build the Belmont Bridge, for example, there's going to be a whole parking lot over there that a lot of city employees park in. They won't be able to park in that lot, at least during the time that the bridge is being built. We are going to need the parking spaces. We've got another 1,000 jobs probably coming downtown between the code buildings on Garrett Street, and so on. 1,000 places. People are not going to walk from Albemarle County, and we don't have the bus system at this point to do away with cars. I think maybe 5-10 years from now, we may get to the point, if we can build the bus system to where we want to build it, to where we could say, you know, the current parking garage we've got on Market Street is nearing the end of its useful life. It's going to cost more to repair. Maybe the 10-year from now solution means we get rid of that parking garage because we've got a brand new bus system that is truly working. We get rid of that parking garage, we get rid of the current city hall, we build one much more efficient building that takes all of these different offices. And I mean, there are answers like that we could get to, but we're not going to get there in the next year or two. And so we've got to have this relatively, I'm thinking, 5 to 10 year solution that, and then perhaps look at what a 20-year solution might be, but they're going to be different solutions.
That was a phenomenal answer, and I want to cut that. That was very understandable and digestible, Judah. If we can cut that into a sizzle reel, I thought that was really good. And on top of that, we don't know how COVID-19 is going to impact how the marketplace utilizes public transportation. COVID-19 and the fear of could drive demand back to singular vehicles, which could impact an ecosystem that needs houses for these vehicles, i.e. downtown. I got James King from King Family Vineyards right after you. His family business is opening up. Before we do, we would not be doing the show a service if we didn't give you a final word to go anywhere you want. Charlottesville is in a very precarious, fragile place right now. I think that's safe to say. Lloyd, the show is yours.
Well, the city as a whole, I think, is in actually pretty good shape. And by that, I mean the city government as a whole. That doesn't mean that there aren't a lot of people as individuals or even as groups who are not suffering and are not having a lot of problems and won't have a lot of problems. We need to figure out how we're going to identify the people with immediate crisis needs. I've said, for example, when we talk about the social funding that we do, the so-called Vibrant Community Fund, that we need to recalibrate our Vibrant Community Fund in the next year or so to deal with the specific, urgent, critical needs of food and urgent housing and medical care, and everything else is going to have to take a back seat. We will get through this. A year, 2 years from now, I don't know how long it's going to take. We will get through this, but for the next few months, it's still going to be tough.
Thank you, Councilor, for the time. I'm grateful. I hope you have a good day.
Thank you, Jerry.
Have a good day. Thank you.
You too.
He's great.
Yep.
Lloyd Snook, tap the like button, punch the like button right there. Lloyd Snook giving us some time. Judah, I'm going to reach out to James King now. In fact, I'm reaching out to Skype. He's ringing now. I'm giving you a heads up. James King, King Family Vineyards, is going to join us in T-minus 5 seconds. I'm a huge fan of James King and this man's family. Judah, if you could give me the thumbs up when we can welcome James on the show, that would be amazing. If you can turn it horizontally for us, James, that way we get that, dude, it looks like you're bench pressing 225 like 18 times, no problem, dude. You're looking jacked over there. All right, we're good. You're live for Central Virginia, James. All right, I'm going to get out of your way. I was thinking about you today. First, thank you for joining us. We had Taylor Sutton, and we have your audio on over there on your screen. Okay, I can hear you. We had Taylor Sutton on yesterday. His family owns Tiger Fuel. And I was talking about with Taylor, you had the price of oil going up and down. You had people staying at home and not leaving their house. So obviously gasoline wasn't going. You had the COVID standpoint for the food sales, for the delicious sandwiches at the market. I mean, I love a Keswick. I love a Farmington. I know you love these sandwiches too. Yeah, right? Same for the wineries and vineyards, man. I mean, you had a frost a few days, right? How you hanging in there?
I mean, better than most, actually. We unfortunately lost about 60% of our crop this year over the course of about 2.5 nights. But, some vineyards in the Monticello AVA lost 60, 70, 80, 100% of their crop this year. So even though it's a tough year for King Family Vineyards, it's a overall tough year for the Monticello AVA and Virginia as a whole. Some areas fared a little bit better than others, but it's a tough year this year as far as the volume of production we're going to be able to produce. However, I guess if there is a silver lining, last year, 2019 was spectacular. So whoever is a wine drinker in the area, be on the lookout for those 2019s being released. Our rosé is out, and we're about to release some more whites from last year. So those will be excellent as far as quality. Season does, as a farmer, you just have to be a perpetual optimist, right? Like we're battling Mother Nature every day. She usually wins. Some years we break even. Some years we even get a little bit ahead. But like I was saying earlier, there's eventually going to be that year when Mother Nature comes to tell you, hey, I'm really in charge. You can do all that you can try to do to save whatever you're growing. But, she's in charge and she's going to win. But, we have to think that next year is going to be better. And that's how you have to think as a business owner and entrepreneur. You have to keep moving forward. And thankfully, given the COVID crisis, we were able, with many of the other wineries and breweries and cideries and distilleries around here, able to pivot to stay alive during this time. We really appreciate all the people that have supported us, that are listening right now, that have bought wine from us, that have bought beer and cider and spirits from other local growers and producers. But it's really kept us alive during this time. We've been doing curbside pickup. We've been doing free delivery in the Crozet and Charlottesville area. We've been doing free shipping over 6 bottles to the states that we can ship to. So we were fortunate enough to be able to pivot pretty quickly. Other producers are, Silverback Distillery and Nelson's making hand sanitizer. That's amazing. So a lot of people were able to, make hand sanitizer, make masks. But it's been great to see the love and support that not only we've had here at King Family Vineyards from all of our fans and friends and family and customers. You've really kept us alive during this time. But I think Monticello AVA, the 32 wineries that are within a 20-mile radius of Charlottesville have really felt the love from all the support that your listeners and other people across the state and around the country have really given us. So we really appreciate that.
One of our favorite vineyards, King Family Vineyards, James King on the line here. You'll love the positive praise coming in. We're live on 12 Facebook pages. This is coming from Grace. Jerry, please tell your guests, my husband and I bought 4 bottles last week, and we cannot wait for Polo. This is from Lisa Watson. Hi, James. We love James and the whole King family. We cannot wait to be photographing weddings again at King Family. We hope Polo will be happening. This one's from Laura. I miss being at your vineyard and seeing people happy in Charlottesville and Crozet.
Yeah, we appreciate all that. We miss all of you too. Trust me, there's nothing more than we want for tomorrow to come. However, that being said, we want to do it slowly and within the guidelines that the governor's passed down, and within all the CDC recommendations as far as keeping our staff and guests safe and keeping everything clean. So we're at 50% capacity on our patios. As far as our polo field and our lawn area, those are going to be open for people to come and spread out, bring a picnic blanket, bring some chairs, take some personal responsibility and make sure you're social distancing, giving that physical distance between you and your groups. We're going to be doing bottle sales and glass sales tomorrow. We're not going to be doing any inside. Everything's going to be outdoors. We have a modified tasting in that we have 5 disposable cups on a tray to go. So we're just going to be sliding that across the table for customers to grab. But essentially, we have 13 acres. I don't know if you can see this. It might wash out. But we have 13 acres of polo field and lawn for people to spread out on. So by all means, if people don't feel safe, please stay home. If you're feeling sick or unsafe, please stay home. But if you're willing to venture out and help support these local businesses that are opening up like ours, we could really use your support, your continued support. So we're going to be wearing masks and gloves. We have everyone that's coming to visit while they're purchasing and getting to their space, they wear a mask as well. But once they find a space and spread out, they're welcome to take that down and enjoy their wine and beautiful scenery and having some time outside. We've all been so isolated indoors.
Amen.
So this will be a good time. But we're excited. We're gonna go slow. Are mistakes going to be made here and at other places? I'm sure. We're all trying to figure this out for the first time. So I hope that customers everywhere, not only just here, but at every business you frequent, that not only the business owners and the staff, but the guests are all patient with each other, because we're all kind of figuring this out for the first time. So, give grace, be kind, help each other out, and hopefully we can move forward together in a super positive and fun way, and just relish the opportunity to get back out and do some normal social interacting,
Very well said.
With the distancing in place.
Let me throw this to you. So you got Dr. John watching over there, the owner of Pro Renata. He's watching the show. Our buddy J.R. Hadley watching the program as we speak here. Stephanie Wells Rhodes, the family that owns Interstate Pest and Service Companies. My best friend was married there 10 years ago today. It is such a beautiful place. And it's continuing and continuing and continuing. I'm going to throw this to you. You're a strong rock, counted on guy that has a huge heart. And earlier in the interview, you gave us a little glimpse into your vulnerability when you got choked up for a second, when people were giving you some props about this phenomenal business that your family has. Talk to me about that and what you were feeling, what that means to you. I mean, there's no right answer here. And what I've been trying to say is like, we're just trying to figure this out every day.
Yeah, I mean, this is all new to us. It seems like looking back historically, I feel like every 100 years there seems to be some global pandemic, but this is all very new. It's crushed the economy in a lot of ways, and more importantly, people are dying around the world and across the country and here in the Commonwealth, and that is a terrible tragedy. And honestly, do I think people, as we open things back up slowly, are people going to continue to get sick? Yes, probably. Unfortunately, that's probably going to happen, and that's also a tragedy. And I think the steps that the United States and what we've done here in Central Virginia and Crozet and Charlottesville, the steps we've taken thus far to stay away from each other, I think has helped tremendously. At least the numbers seem to indicate that. But are we going to make mistakes as we stumble through this? Yes, we are. Nobody's perfect, not us. Not anyone else. So everyone's going to make mistakes, but I just hope that because we're all going through this together for the first time, and everyone wants the same thing, right? Like, there's people out of work and they want to get back to work, and there's companies locally that are going to hire some of those people, maybe us. I hope so. I don't think anyone watching wants to stay in their house. I know I don't, and I'm an introvert. So I want to get out. But I want to do it properly. We can't just rush forward and haphazardly be like, well, things are back to normal, because that's not true. It's a little bit different right now, and it's going to continue to be that way. So we just have to, while everyone's excited to move forward, we just have to keep a level head, give a lot of grace, be patient, be kind, and we'll figure all this out together. So we're excited to do it, but my dad's not here. I'll just throw in a brief shout out. Like, he started this place with my mom back in 1998. He passed away last year, and he couldn't be here to give his commentary on COVID-19. Maybe that's a good thing, but we're all doing the best we can. I think he's looking down, proud of us that we were all, as a family and a team, a staff and a team here, able to pull together to get through a super challenging time when we're coming off the best year we've ever had in 2019 business-wise to the worst year that most businesses have ever had. So I think the fact that we're able to survive this is amazing. The fact that we're going to be able to continue the legacy that my parents built and our team has built here is great. It's been really sad being cooped up at home, watching a couple of local businesses not be able to move forward. The Downtown Grill, I love that place. And Bluegrass Grill and Bakery. I'm so heartbroken as a fellow business owner and just a loyal customer for them for many years. Just to see them go under, that's really sad. And to be honest, I don't know if that's the last casualty here. I mean, with some of the area vineyards having 100% loss in their crop, are we going to have enough fruit in the ground to go around to buy for everyone to make enough to sell next year? I don't know. So I think even though we're getting back into phase one of reopening, and we could totally go back into where we are today because it spikes, but I think we're going to see, and this is just my prediction, James King, not King Family Vineyards, but I think we're going to see more casualties, unfortunately, business-wise. Gosh, I'm not a medical doctor, but I think more people are going to get sick, unfortunately, and go to the hospital. I hope they make it out. I hope everyone recovers. But, you know, this is all brand new to every single one of us. Everyone's doing the best that they can. Everyone's working so hard. Everyone just wants the best for everyone to stay safe and work and get things going again so we can get a bunch of those people that are in unemployment lines and bread lines back into work and producing for themselves and their families. I just want to mention it to any of your listeners that don't know. This month throughout May, we are running a food drive and a fun drive with the Blue Ridge Area Food Bank. We partner with them. I think last week and 1 week we raised $309. Every dollar that you donate is 4 meals, actually. So if anyone is going to come visit King Family Vineyards, if you have a list of items, food items, healthy food items. You can find them on our Facebook page and our Instagram page in the last couple of days. Please bring those by to donate. You know, this is a sob story. These are first world problems that we have. There's a lot of people that were in our shoes, you know, business owners and doing just fine, and now they're standing in bread lines. And I think as we watch Netflix at night and drink our wine or our beer or cider, it can be easy to lose sight of that. And so we're trying to, along with many other businesses in this area, trying to remember that there's so many people in this community that before COVID, during and after COVID are going to be in drastically different circumstances. And I think it is important to remember that it is our job as citizens of the Commonwealth and as people, a part of humanity, is to help our fellow man when they're in need. So please bring by food. If you don't have food or you're not feeling safe and you don't want to come by, we have a link on our Facebook page in our feed to donate to a fund drive to give the Blue Ridge Area Food Bank a couple bucks. Give them $5. They can feed so many people with that. So encourage people to help each other out as we're moving forward and stumbling through this. Just don't forget your fellow man.
Dude, I respect your vulnerability and your courage. I think your father would be extremely proud of you. You represented your family and your business exceptionally well. Thank you so much for your time today.
Thanks, buddy. Appreciate you having me on. Stay safe and hope to see you soon.
Same to you. Take care. Thank you very much. Ray Cadell says, Big Ray and the Cool Cats. Love playing King Family Vineyards. Stephanie Taylor says, you're so right, James. Stay positive. Think about all you can. Stay positive. G. Milo says, we miss you guys. We miss you guys. Keith Rosenfeld, welcome to the program. Give it a like. Give it a share. We're live on 12 different Facebook pages. Jude, I'm going to go to Skype, and I'm going to reach out to Landon Saul. Landon Saul's co-owner of Vivace. It's ringing now, Judah. Chef of Vivace. His restaurant, fabulous restaurant. Opening this weekend, opening tomorrow. They have four dining rooms, four patios that they're going to use strategically. And I'm going to talk to him about that. Landon Saul, T-minus 1 minute or so on this program. I want to dot the I's and cross the T's on a couple of things that are coming up, and then we'll get to some comments, okay? And some of the comments I want to get to, both good and bad, so we're fair. And if you respectfully disagree with anything we've covered on the show, put it in the stream and I will relay it on air, as long as it's respectful. I don't care if you disagree with me, but it's got to be, like, respectful. I think what's going to happen is a lot of what James said. I think, unfortunately, we are going to see an uptick in COVID cases, and I think we have to mentally prepare ourselves for that. I think that's just natural of having people outside and not just at home. The whole premise of today's show and kind of the storyline that I wanted to emphasize was the importance of this community of not throwing shade at people. You have businesses that are uncertain of whether or not they should open, and some are doing it and some aren't. And the ones that are doing it are just as scared as the people that are saying, hey, you shouldn't open because of this. We're uncertain. There's various different reasons of why we're not opening or why someone is opening. So I just hope we go in with the mindset of let's not judge, let's wait and see. Even if you're not going to go to a restaurant, even if you're not going to go to a restaurant to support it, you still do takeout and delivery. You'll still do curbside. You won't beat it up on social media. You'll give it support. And Landon, if you're watching, I'm calling now. It doesn't seem like if you're active on Skype. If you can, reach out to me through Skype and we can get you on the program because I really want to talk to you. So someone tap them on the shoulder. We would really like to get them on there. If you can, reach out to me and give me a call from the last time we interacted so we can get Vivace's plan. I just want to emphasize that we're in this together and we all have the common goal of getting out of this in a better spot. I think the downtown mall needs a huge boost. And I think our city councilors in City Hall are going to have to drive that boost. You heard Lloyd Snook talking about the parking lot option. And the parking lot option is something that City Council and City Hall is considering. There are a number of folks that are in the restaurant community that are adverse potentially to the parking lot option because of the asphalt and the heat in the community, and also because of its change. It's something new. Tampa's doing this. In Florida, Norfolk is doing this. Both of those are very hot climates as well. We need to consider something for downtown and midtown that's maybe parking lot centric for tables to expand patio space. Because right now, Albemarle County has a huge edge over the city of Charlottesville. A huge edge. And why that is because of the land and the patio space. You heard the councilor say that most of them in the city don't have it. So I hope they're thinking outside the box and trying different things to potentially keep business in the city, because my prediction in phase one, and I think it's just reading the tea leaves to steal a phrase from Lloyd Snook, is a lot of phase one is going to venture to the county because that's where the majority of the 70 businesses, restaurant, wineries, and breweries are currently open. So follow that trend. I think the best opportunity for downtown and midtown, certainly for downtown, is the parking lot piece and or some kind of downtown mall beer garden. It's got to be considered. Another item that was considered, another topic that came up was Lloyd reading the tea leaves saying he doesn't think UVA is going to return in the fall, at best an abbreviated semester. He did preface by saying, look, I haven't heard this directly from the Board of Visitors, but this is what's happening. So I don't know. Time's going to tell. It's a crazy time. It's a crazy time, man. I'm just as nervous. I'm just as nervous as well as you. But I'm fearful that the other side of the coin, the destruction of a local economy, is going to be more hardship than we're otherwise anticipating. Market Street parking garage, likely a reality from the Lloyd Snook interview. The Market Street parking garage is something that is a huge issue in this town. And a lot of folks opposed to the garage are asking to reserve the capital because the budget is short right now. So I think it's important to maybe put that behind us. And he emphasized that Mayor Walker and Councilor Hill and himself, well, he wasn't part of it, but Mayor Walker and Councilor Hill were certainly a part of the agreement that was signed. This is the I Love CVille show. My name is Jerry Miller. If we can reach, and it's on our end, it's not his. If we can reach Landon, we'll see if we can get him on for a short interview. But I'm going to sign off from now. I hope you found today's show educational. That's the entire premise of what we're trying to do here, is bring you content and allow you to make your decision. And if you leave with this, I would encourage everyone to realize that we're in it for a common good of staying healthy and moving forward. Yes, we're going to disagree of how do we get to the finish line, but it's still the same common goal overall. I'm Jerry Miller. It's the I Love CVille show.